हाय गाइस, हम लोग ट्रैफिक में फिर फंस चुके हैं और हम हमारा नया एपिसोड शूट करने जा रहे हैं। और आज जो हम एपिसोड शूट कर रहे हैं ये एक नए एंटरप्रेन्योर के साथ है जो कि हमारी कंपनी यानी वेल्दी के वीपी सिद्धार्थ के बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं। सिद्धार्थ से हाय।
हाय हाय गाइस।
सो गाइस, मैं आपको इनके बारे में जल्द ही बताऊंगा, पर उससे पहले मैं आपको वेल्दी के बारे में जरूर बता दूं। वेल्दी इज अ वेल्थ मैनेजमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म which has over 800 plus financial products and thousands of wealth partners. It is your one-stop solution for all your investment needs. So if you have not checked it out yet, please check it out now. Well, इसी से याद आया कि जो मैंने आपको बात बताई थी ना, हमारे जो एंटरप्रेन्योर है इनको 15 साल से भी ज्यादा का एक्सपीरियंस है. He has worked in Airtel, he has worked in ShopX and now he has turned himself into an entrepreneur. वो भी financial services में. तो चलिए चल के हम उनसे मिलते हैं.
Especially during COVID when the markets fell, that was a time I was a little worried. But the way markets bounced back after that, globally how markets bounced back, gave me a lot of confidence that if you remain invested, no matter what kind of volatility market sees, you always can make money. The mantra is to stay invested. Once you know where you need to park your money, just calculate the return that you're getting, be it in fixed deposit, be it in residential rental income, for example. Yeah, it gives you about 3.5-4%, not more than that. Insurance policies, take that much of insurance which is really required. Don't overload on insurance. I don't say don't take insurance, but you should take only that much which is really required.
Okay.
Your insurance policies, traditional policies, you don't get more than 6-7%, right? Gold gives you 8-9%. Where do you invest if you have to beat inflation? There is fluctuation, but if you are invested for a long period of time, when I say long, I'm not saying 10, 20 and 30 years. Remain invested in equity markets for a bare minimum 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. If you need money before 3 years, don't invest that money which you are investing. Right? 3 to 5 year horizon is a must. Invest only that money which you don't need for 3 years.
Okay. So guys, finally हम पहुंच चुके हैं and he is our guest today. He is the founder and CEO of WealthKube, Mr. Zakir Hussain. Thank you so much for coming to our show and welcome to our show.
Thank you, Ganesh.
वैसे आपको पता होगा कि हैशटैग मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी जो हम सीरीज चला रहे हैं, इसमें हम आपसे कुछ 4 से 5 क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे and then we'll end up playing a quick rapid fire round. So I hope you are excited about it.
Yes.
So are you excited? You guys ready? Are you ready?
Of course, go ahead, Ganesh.
Great. So my very first question to you, you have over 20 years of work ex. मतलब भारतीय एयरटेल में भी आपने 10 साल गुजारे, then you were with ShopX and now you have finally started your entrepreneur journey. So, my question is, you were there in telecom, you were there in e-commerce, then why financial services?
Yeah, well, I started my career not with Airtel but with Citi Bank, and that's where I learned the ropes of investing. I learned where you need to put your money. My first lessons came from a gentleman by name Ajay Bagga, who's an ex-Citi banker. He taught some of us at Citi how to invest in mutual funds and what kind of benefits that you can get if you invest in mutual funds vis-a-vis some other asset classes. Now that is the lesson that stayed with me even after I left Citi. Yeah, wealth management was a space which always interested me. While I was part of the credit cards team, we were cross-selling loans, we were cross-selling insurance products to our clients, but the wealth management piece always interested me. That's how my interest in the wealth management space grew.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then after 20 years, like 20 years you continued working.
Yeah.
And don't you think it got little late of starting off your own company, or you think कि नहीं मैंने सही time पे किया है?
Well, a little after, towards the end of my career at Airtel is when I wanted to start something on my own. But for want of a good idea, I did not start a business of my own. The closest I could get to starting something on my own was joining ShopX, which is where I got the exposure to seeing how a company can be built from scratch. I was heading the sales function. I built the entire sales infrastructure for ShopX, and it gave me the confidence that I could do something on my own. And when I was mulling over what is it that I want to start in the last 3-4 years, the questions that I used to commonly ask my team members, my colleagues, is where were they investing their money?
Okay.
right? This was our, coffee time conversations, and whenever I spoke to some of the brightest minds in my team, amongst my peers, they did not have a very clear understanding of where they should invest their money, which can give them the best possible returns. I mostly got answers of places where traditionally everybody invests, be it in real estate, insurance, fixed deposits, etc. Now, everybody thought investing in equities is risky. Mind you, these are some of the best brains, people who've done really well in their academics, in their careers. They work very hard for their money, but they didn't know where to park their money, right? And I kept on sharing my thoughts with them, helped a few of them invest in equities. And as I saw more and more of my own colleagues, friends getting into investing in equities, taking my advice, I thought, why not take this up as a career
As a
option
full-time
itself?
job.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, I took up some courses which helped me understand how I could, give the right kind of advice. Started helping family and friends initially. I was managing my family's money, and a few close friends I used to guide them very, very closely. And when I saw that their money was growing, especially during COVID when the markets fell, that was a time I was a little worried. But the way markets bounced back after that, globally how markets bounced back, gave me a lot of confidence that if you remain invested, no matter what kind of volatility market sees, you always can make money. The mantra is to stay invested once you know where you need to park your money. So this particular last couple of years, how markets have moved with all the turmoil that has been happening in the world, gave me the confidence to start on my own. And February of this year, we started WealthKube. It's been about a year now, and
You have bootstrapped it completely.
it's a completely bootstrapped organization. We're a 4-member team,
Okay.
and it's been a year now, and we have a little over 150 clients.
Oh, great.
And we've been able to build this company largely through referrals, through the network that I have built over the last 20 years of me being in the corporate world. And I must say it's been very encouraging. We want to keep it bootstrapped for as long as possible before we possibly make some noise about what we do, and maybe at some point in time reach out to the investing community.
Great. So, अभी आपने बताया कि you started your career with Citi Bank.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, what was your first salary? Or because you were a banker, you were in Citi Bank, did you invest your money or did you spend your entire money?
I would say I spent my money with my first salary was 5,200 rupees.
And this was year
2000.
2000. Year 2000 में 5,000 salary. Okay.
That's right. And 3,000 of which I gave it to my parents. First
Okay.
salary.
Okay.
You tend to give it to your parents. So I gave it to them. They were very happy. With the rest of the money, I think I spent it.
You
I
spent
bought a
it.
few things that I wanted.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So from here only my next question is, since you spoke about how investing has always kind of been into your head, so how has been your investment journey? Like कहाँ से शुरू हुई, आज कहाँ खड़ी है? What was your first investment you ever made, and what motivated you to keep on investing money?
I started investing actually very early in life.
Okay.
In 2001 is when I started investing, after the first lesson that I learned on investing in mutual funds. I used to invest in a fund called Franklin Templeton Prima Fund.
Okay.
And I used to do a monthly SIP. With the small money that I used to earn, I used to do a monthly SIP. But those were early days. When you see your money grow to an extent, you also have some needs. You tend to withdraw the money, or you don't realize, so early on. I mean, there was there was nobody who was telling me to remain invested, who didn't tell me not to withdraw my money at that point in time. So from time to time, I kept making withdrawals whenever I invested. But I knew that if you have to make real money, it is in equities. And if you don't understand stocks very well, invest through mutual funds. And almost all the time, whenever I invested in mutual funds, I did not lose money. I made fairly decent returns when compared to maybe investing that money in a fixed deposit or some other investment option. So I knew where money can be made. But it's just that for the first 5, 6, 7 years of my working life, I couldn't remain invested.
I couldn't remain invested.
I couldn't remain invested.
Okay.
I kept making regular withdrawals.
Okay.
Right. During this time, I also learned my lessons. Had I kept my money where it was, it possibly would have grown much more. But after the first 8-9 years of my working career, once I got married, I figured what are the things that I need. I was able to take care of some of those basics that one needs, buying your home, buying your car, and a few more basics. You know what you need to do your money, and I realized if I had to build substantial wealth, I had to invest in equity. So the last 7-8 years of my working career, I would say about 50 to 60% of my monthly salary I used to invest in equities. The first of every month, the first thing I would do is invest the money, and with the leftover money I would pay my bills and keep very little balance in my savings account. Now, this is one more thing that I want to share on this particular call. I used to talk to my team members. I used to talk to my colleagues. I used to ask them, how much money do you have in your savings account? The answers that I got was 5 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 4 lakhs. I would ask them, what do you do with this money? And mostly the answers that I used to get was, for emergencies, we need the money. I said, what kind of an emergency? I don't keep that kind of money. All the money at any point in time that I keep in my bank account is maybe 10 or 20,000 rupees.
So you keep only 10, 20,000?
That's about it. You won't see more than, today's balance is about 30K. But
30K.
I don't need more than that, because you have your credit card. If you really want to use for any purpose, use your credit card and pay back your credit card in full by the due date. Right? That's one thing that you can do. So when I used to ask my colleagues, friends, team members questions on what is the reason why they kept so much money in the savings account, emergencies with the answer. And when I probed further, they would say medical emergency. Your company used to cover you for your medical expenses. Yeah.
You have health insurance?
You have health insurance.
Correct.
Yeah. And you have a credit card. Today, every medical store, every hospital accepts credit card. But they still would say, no, sometimes, you will need some cash. I said, you're preparing for an emergency by keeping money in your bank, by keeping so much money. But you actually don't end up using that cash. The cash is lying idle, not really working for you. So I started talking to them not to park so much money, but use their credit card, if there is such an emergency, and pay back. If you invest in an equity product, be it stocks directly or mutual funds, you can withdraw in 3 to 4 days' time. You can always pay back your credit card if there is such a need. Right? So I increasingly saw that more and more people were doing this. All right. Today also, if you go to any corporate and talk to a few people, you will see people sit on a lot of balance in their savings account. Yeah.
Even I have a lot of money in my bank account, but I invest in a different manner.
Yeah, coming from Citibank, some of the lessons that I learned there is how to use your credit card well. If you are able to pay your card dues in full by the due date, you get that credit-free time. You also earn your points, use those points effectively. Basically, it helps you, your card, and you know how to use the card, you will know how to make your money work for you. Yeah, emergencies is in the mind, right? If at all, God forbid, there is an emergency, you can always withdraw from your equities.
Correct.
Yes, there is fluctuation, but if you are invested for a long period of time, when I say long, I'm not saying 10, 20, and 30 years. Remain invested in equity markets for a bare minimum 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. If you need money before 3 years, don't invest that money which you are investing. Right? 3 to 5 year horizon is a must. Invest only that money which you don't need for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you know that your money is actually working for you, which is a very high possibility, when you keep your money for 3 to 5 years, you will never ever withdraw that money. You will only pump in more money. The habits get formed there. And that's what WealthKube is setting out to achieve. Help as many individuals as possible to invest in the right possible way, in the right vehicles, not just in mutual funds. Anything that can, any option that is available which can give them returns which are better than what traditionally is available. Because you've got to beat inflation by a significant 4-5%, and your traditional instruments won't help you beat inflation.
Great. Yeah. So, what are some of the best financial instruments you think people should actually invest in? Like, for you, which are those financial instruments which you think have actually worked out really well?
Investing in equities has been the best of all the asset classes that I have invested in. See, as a nation, we are obsessed with investing in real estate.
Correct.
No matter what you do, talk to anybody, you will find that person either he owns a flat or more than one flat for rental income purposes, or the person is invested in land either within the city or agricultural land somewhere. Now that obsession is certainly there, but even I do own a bit of real estate in my portfolio. But what's really worked for me most is investing in equities, because I am so actively involved in the equity markets. I invest both in stocks and in mutual funds. But for those people who are looking at investing in equity, if you do not have time to spend and look at the markets on a daily basis, look at how your stocks are performing, or if you do not have time to read balance sheets of your companies that you have invested in, then invest through the mutual fund route.
Okay.
All right, invest through somebody who you trust, who has some reputation in the market already, who knows what he or she is doing. Take the help of an advisor if need be.
Okay.
Take the help of companies like yours.
Okay.
Yeah, and invest your money. And track it at the same time. Take out little time, show some interest towards managing your money. That's very important, because you're working so hard for the money. Make sure you are looking at your money so that it's working harder for you. Right? That's really important.
Well, great. I mean, मुझे काफ़ी कुछ सीखने मिल रहा है आपसे कि भाई you should keep on investing your money. Reason being कि it will give you a long term return. It's not about emergencies. It's about investing. Savings में कम रखो, invest ज़्यादा करो. Well, with this, I'll move on to my next question. तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है जाकिर कि लोग बाग जो है वो इन्वेस्ट करने से डरते हैं. दे से कि यार इन्वेस्ट करूंगा, कहीं लॉस हो गया तो मैं अपने पास जो मैंने पैसा बनाया था वो और डूब जाएगा, या फिर एनीथिंग लाइक दैट. सो व्हाट आर दीज कॉमन मिस्टेक्स दैट पीपल आर डूइंग व्हाइल दे आर इन्वेस्टिंग देयर मनी, और द मिस्टेक्स दैट पीपल आर हैविंग इन देयर माइंड कि यार ये कर दूंगा तो पैसा मेरा डूब जाएगा. सो व्हाट आर दीज सम ऑफ द कॉमन ट्रेड्स?
Some of the common traits are, investing again in traditional instruments, which being extremely risk averse.
What are these traditional instruments?
Investing in real estate, investing in fixed deposit, investing in those banks which give you higher rate of interest. Yeah. Today, inflation, government's declared inflation is about 6.5%. But inflation for you and me is not at 6.5%. Our inflation, if you factor in the gadgets that we upgrade, if you factor in the travel that we make, the get-togethers that we have with friends, our inflation is easily at 8, 9, and 10%. Yeah. So invest in places where you are beating your own inflation, not government's declared inflation. Government is declaring inflation at a larger scale. Yeah, the common man's inflation is what it's talking about. It's not talking about the foreign trips that you take, the holidays that you take within India. Yeah, when you factor all this in, your inflation is much higher. So when you are investing, look at those investments. Are they giving you returns which are beating your inflation first of all, and it has to beat your inflation by at least 2 to 3%.
And how do people will calculate this thing? How can they actually analyze this and do it?
Simple. One index you are anyways getting from the government. Government declares inflation anywhere in the range of 5 to 6%. Yeah. And when government declares inflation, it does not factor in your holidays, your gadgets, your clothes that you upgrade. Yeah. If you look at these aspects and add to the inflation which has already been declared, you are easily sitting at 9% of an inflation, right? And when you are investing, just calculate the return that you're getting, be it in fixed deposit, be it in residential rental income, for example. Yeah, it gives you about 3.5-4%, not more than that. Yeah. Insurance policies, take that much of insurance which is really required. Don't overload on insurance. I don't say don't take insurance, but you should take only that much which is really required. Yeah. Your insurance policies, traditional policies, you don't get more than 6-7%. Right? Gold gives you 8-9%. Where do you invest if you have to beat inflation? I mean, I can't think of a better asset class than equities. Equities, everybody says, is risky. Words like gamble is used when you're trading in the market.
Correct.
Invest. Don't trade if you don't understand how to trade. So invest and remain invested for a long period of time. Invest through somebody who knows the subject well, and stay invested for a long period of time. When I say long, again, the moment you say 10 and 15 years, one is demoralized. 10-15 years के बाद बुढ़ापे में enjoy करेंगे क्या life, right? start with 3 and 5 years, and your journey then goes on really well. Equities traditionally, for example, Indian markets have given traditionally 12-13% returns from the time Indian markets have been there, right? What better example you need?
Correct.
While it's important to say investing in equities is subject to market risk, but if you remain invested and invest well and at the right places, with choosing the best of funds, choosing the best of stocks, and stick on for 3 to 5 years, you rarely lose money. And the possibility of you beating your inflation, which is 9-10%, is extremely high. Yeah?
Great.
Try it with small money if you want to try that out.
So
Yeah,
this is the learning: beat your inflation by
at least 3 to 4%.
investing a small amount. Beat your inflation by investing a small amount. Keep this thing in mind, guys. Well, thank you so much, Zakir. It was really fun. और अब हम आपके साथ खेलने वाले हैं रैपिड फायर राउंड, जिसको हम बोलते हैं wealthy fun o'clock.
All right.
Cool. So you have to pick one. I'm giving you 2 options. You'll pick one and you'll tell me in one simple line why.
Yeah.
Bangalore rains or Bangalore traffic?
Bangalore rains any day.
Why?
Bangalore traffic is frustrating. If you drive in the city, you will know.
I know. I know. So second question is growth or profitability?
Well, both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Education or experience?
Education, then experience.
Okay. Rich and bored or employed and tired?
Rich and bored or employed and tired? Rich and bored.
Rich and bored. So you want to be rich and then just do nothing. Great. House on rent with good cash or own house with limited money?
House on rent with good cash.
Why?
Well, if these are the two options, any day it makes sense to invest that money and get better returns. Just to give an example, if you buy a property worth 1 crore,
correct,
that property will appreciate, say after 10 years, 1 crore may become max, 2 crores if you want to sell that property of yours that you're saying, or the value of that particular property, right? The same money if you invest in equities, chances are that it will compound at 14-15%. The chances of it being not 2 crores but for 4 crores with it compounding at 14-15% is extremely high, and your 1 crore can be 4 crores versus 1 crore being 2 crores at the end of 10 years. You look at how Indian markets have performed, put it even in index funds, not even going through a fund manager, you would have made far higher returns than investing in real estate. So if that's the choice that you have, owning a house versus staying in a rented house and keeping a lot of money, I would anyways recommend staying in a rented house.
Okay.
Yeah, because you also have the options when you get bored of the place that you're living in, you can always change the place, stay in a nicer place.
Great. So thank you so much, Zakir, for doing this for us. I'm sure इससे आपको भी काफी learning मिली होगी. मेरी सबसे बड़ी learning इस particular interview से ये रही कि beat your own inflation. So thank you once again for being our guest.
Thank you so much.
तो गाइज ये तो थी हैशटैग मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी बाय जाकिर सर. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आया तो प्लीज इस वीडियो को लाइक करें और शेयर जरूर करें, और अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरीज हमें बताएं बाय पुटिंग हैशटैग मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी एंड टैगिंग वेल्दी अलॉन्ग विद योर 3 friends. Some of the best inspiring stories will stand a chance to feature on the Wealthy page along with some gift hampers. तो सोचो नहीं, शेयर करो. Think wealth, get wealthy.